All right, so let's talk about the downfall of mainstream media, right? Networks like CNN, MSNBC. Two networks that I'll admit, I used to watch religiously, right? Back in my brainwash days, where, a lot of my information was coming from those two networks, but then as you get older and you start, educating yourself more, you start opening your eyes to see what's really going on. Then you start to broaden your horizon. You start to go to other outlets. And not only that, but the internet also makes it so much easier to get different variety of different information. And especially nowadays, like I remember during the election where we were watching the coverage. Like I went to a watch party, and of course they had the big screen up. I think it was ABC or NBC or something like that. However, I was watching, I was on YouTube watching things like PBD Podcast or Charlie Kirk or Benny Johnson. I was watching them, and they were having like 200,000 views at that time. So, and then you see when it comes to these other networks, and the fact that you see there's news out here coming saying that a lot of these networks are going laying people off, or how a lot of their ratings are going down. And that's no surprise. Let's be real. Like a lot of these networks, they need Trump in office, right? They need Trump in the news media because that's where they get a lot of their views from. Okay, without Trump, like they don't get any views, right? Especially when the election cycle is over, like their views are just going to be dropping, to be falling off a cliff. And you would think that even though now that Trump is back in office, that they probably get some ratings, but it's looking like a lot of people are checking out of these left-wing media sources because the things that the information that they're putting out there is just there's no substance to it. It's always, Trump is that, Trump is this, his voters are misogynist, sexist, all types of things. It's nothing substantive, right? It's like they're never talking about the things that are going on with people in America, how they're struggling, right? That they're struggling to get food on the table, to pay their bills. It's always the other person's bad. This is that. This person's this. It's always things where they don't. It's not helping the everyday people. And now that they took this L, right? They lost big time. It was a landslide victory. A lot of people are getting to a point like, okay, all this stuff that's being told to me is like, what's the point? Like, Trump is all these things, yet he won in a landslide victory. So either you're lying to me and he's not all these things, or the stuff that you're saying is just nonsense, and it's not helping the conversation. It's not helping us as a country move forward. Okay, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize that, especially on the left, because you got even YouTubers that are hemorrhaging viewers, memberships or subscribers because people are just checked out. They're done, right? So they have a bunch of reports. Right, so we got New York Post, where it's talking about how CNN boss Mark Thompson is to lay off hundreds after election day ratings wipe out. So CNN is losing a bunch of views. Their views has dropped, so they're like, all right, you know what, this isn't working. We gotta let people go because it's costing us money. Okay, and now there's another report where for MSNBC on the Daily Mail. All right, so it says MSNBC ratings tank again after election spike as viewers tire of anti-Trump rants. So people are getting tired of this rhetoric, right? They're getting tired of it. And because you have two of these networks, right, the main networks, where their views, majority of their views come from anti-Trump rhetoric, they can't get views any other way because they don't actually report news, right? It's all nothing but propaganda and garbage. And you see Fox, like I don't even really watch Fox, but you can see their viewership is going up, right? And say what you want about Fox, but at least many times they actually report some type of news, right? And obviously people are watching them for a reason, okay? And these left-wing medias are just they're not doing a good job of actually giving information. Their rhetoric is nothing but just this person's bad, these people are bad. It's not anywhere near as informative as other networks. And you can name a bunch of reasons why this is the case, right? Obviously, I think a big reason we already know is because they lies and there's just a bunch of propaganda. But a big thing is obviously the internet, right? You have a bunch of independent podcasters coming out, and they're just destroying the numbers of these mainstream media, right? Because let's see, back then, the only place you could get your information from was these mainstream media sources, Okay, so there's no way to combat that. Like everybody's on MSNBC, CNN, they're all talking amongst each other. There's no one to counteract what they have to say. Now with the internet, and even though we all agree that the internet is there's a lot of negatives when it comes to the internet. However, there's a lot of positives as well, right? You got to take the good with the bad. So if I was someone with millions of followers and I was saying what I had to say about any certain topic, right, whether it was a lie or truth, the great thing about the internet is that another a media source can also counteract that. Or second way, the comments. People in the comment sections can counteract that as well. So you have two sources. You have people that are reputable or probably have more information can counteract that nonsense, or I mean whatever thing that you're saying, if it's a lie or not. And then you got people in the comment section that can say, what you're saying is not true or it's true. So there's so many different ways to present checks and balances for a certain conversation. And these mainstream medias, they don't have that. It's like you see on MSNBC, they're all talking amongst each other with the same. There's no other person with a opposing view. So it's just like, all right, they're all saying the same thing. They're on their little bubble. So people are getting tired of that because like where's the other person? Then you have places like The View where they have these fake little conservatives that they want to be conservatives, acting like that they're presenting opposing view, but they're not. All they're saying is the same thing: Trump this, Trump that, and the Trump voters are this, Trump voters are garbage. There's no counterbalance, and you need that in every conversation. If you're going to debate somebody, you're going to have that counterbalance. You're going to have that opposing view, so you can have a discussion. And people are tired of just these little bubbles where they're just saying the same thing, repeating it. Of course, we all have our biases. We want people to confirm our biases, but it's important to have conversation. Right, you want to have that opposing view so you can, at least use some common sense thinking, right? Use your critical thinking skills, and these media sources aren't doing that. So you got these independent media sources destroying them, and I like to think of it as like this, right? I like to compare it to athletes. Now, when you see these athletes come up with baseball, basketball, football, they're new, they're rookies, and they're coming up, in the game. They don't have a big contract yet, right? They work hard, right? They bust their butt, give it all they all, and they work really hard to make sure that they can get that big contract. But then when it's time to get that contract and they get the big contract, what tends to happen? They tend to get complacent, right? They don't do as well as they did the previous years where they were coming up, right? Because they got that big money. They've reached the mountaintop, so now they don't have to work as hard. And that's the same thing with these media companies, right? They're big companies. They're the big dogs in this media space, and they don't feel like they have to work hard. But see, that person, all these independent medias that are like trying to come up in the game, trying to get to where they're at, they're going to grind very hard. They're going to do their best to come up in this space and make a name for themselves, right? So they can get that big contract, so they can get some name recognition. And that's the thing. These independent media, even though they may have the financial resources, they have the work ethic, right? They're going to work hard. They're going to do their best to make sure that people they get the information out there so people can follow them, build trust. These big dogs, these big mainstream media, they're complacent, and you see what happens especially when it comes to the internet. A lot of these companies that don't adapt, they die off. Right? And that's what you're seeing with mainstream media. You see all these mainstream medias, they're complaining that all these independent networks are dominating and they're spreading misinformation. Like everything that's counteract to what they're saying is misinformation. But what about them? They act like everything they're saying is truth. There's no opposing view. So how could you say whatever you're saying is truth and everything everybody else is saying is misinformation? So I think people are starting to get to a point where we're done. Like we don't want to listen to you guys anymore. You guys are not moving this conversation forward. The things that you're saying is untrue, and people like authenticity. They want people to tell them the truth, and people can see it, right? People can see it. They'll look at you and hear what you have to say, and like, this person is straight up fake, and you know what? These people aren't adapting because they continue to spew the same thing. Yeah, people like Joy Reid, she continues to say the same thing. And hopefully the rumors are true with her, like they're looking to fire her. Please get rid of her. She is annoying. She is straight. She's just a race baiter. She's nothing. She doesn't move anything forward. She doesn't want to bring people together. She's just a divider. Okay, everything is about racism with her. She's just annoying. She doesn't bring anything substantive, right? So hopefully they kick her out, get her out of there, because she should be the first one to go. And I think people are getting to a point where it's just like, all right, man, we have to find alternative ways. And the great thing about independent media, internet, is just that everyone can have a voice, right? And people are going to go towards the people that they feel like, whether they share their views or they feel like they can trust and they're learning from, and that's where people are going to go to. Okay, they're not going to go to mainstream media and where they're being lied to. They're done with that. Everyone's tired of it. With mainstream media is going to be, you see it. You see the president. You see Donald Trump. You see a lot of these candidates now are going to these big podcasts and having the people get to know them. Okay, they're letting people know who they are. Kamala Harris didn't want to do that. Like, no one knows who she is. It's obvious to see that she was fake. She was inauthentic. And one thing about Trump, whether you like him or not, one thing you know about Trump is he is him. He is him. He always has been him. He says what he said he wants. And I think people respect that. Whether they like him or not, they respect that. And so it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. I mean, we already know where it's going. Like, it's like mainstream media is done. They're cooked. I'm pretty sure everybody's waiting for them for everybody to get released. The big dogs, the big names, release them, fire them, whatever they gotta do, get them off the TV, because they're not helping people. They're not helping this country move forward. They're not making this country a better place with their lies. And we need people to come out here and offer different perspectives, even if we agree with it or not. At least the great thing is that you have the conversation and other people can say, you know what, I disagree with you, but then you can continue to have that conversation and hopefully change people's mind. And with mainstream media, they're not helping it. They're not helping the conversation move forward. So I'm excited to see how things go forward when it comes to media. It's gonna be interesting to see where that goes. So those are my thoughts. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to leave a comment down below if you like what you see. Make sure to subscribe. All right, so guys, take care and have a good one. Later.